Okay.
Ow, ow, ow! Ow!
We've barely started. We're already having trouble.
She put her nails in my leg!
It's fine.
I'm in pain. Hope I'm not bleeding.
Please don't be bleeding on this, our inaugural episode.
Oh god, are we recording this part?
I can edit it out, it's fine. Okay. There is a cat in this room. She is very needy. So, today, our first episode.
Hi, welcome to KALEIDOLOGUE! Woo!
Today's episode is about Doctor Who, and more specifically, the newest season of Doctor Who.
Yeah, we're a little bit late to it, but hey, Doctor's eternal.
It's fine. Doctor Who's been going on for like 50 whatever years at this point, 56 years at this point, so if you're late to the party, welcome.
We'll have a new season in like 2 years.
So, first things first, the new star of the show, 13th Doctor, played by Jodie Whittaker.
Oh, the Rainbow Doctor.
She is very rainbow and I love her very much.
She's all the rainbow. Like, y'all thought 4 was rainbowy. None. 13's much more rainbows. Literal rainbows.
Yes. And not only does she come with a very rainbow outfit, she also comes with a very rainbow personality.
Oh, yes. She's so bouncy and fix-it, and also, like... You know, the thing I really like about her is that she doesn't actually lie like a lot of the other doctors do, right? Mm-hmm. She's very much like, hey, you know, I don't know if we're gonna be okay, you know?
She brings a sort of vulnerability and uncertainty, but she doesn't try to hide it, which is very refreshing considering we just got off a string of doctors who love to just manipulate everybody around them, which is not really what I want from that sort of character.
Yeah, it's been a few years of that, hasn't it?
It sure has, but we are not here to talk about those guys. We are here to talk about 13.
We're here to talk about not guys. I mean, unless we're talking about just, like, you know, doctor, in which case we're going to be calling them they as all of them, because now we have a lady doctor.
Which, speaking of lady doctor, I am so happy that we finally got one, not just because... Come on, it's been like 12 regenerations and we needed a lady doctor, but because...
It's been more than that, it's been 13.
Around 4-ish years ago, when you first got into Doctor Who, and I was sort of in the middle of all of that.
Oh wow, it's been 4 years.
We were sitting around and discussing, what if one day there's a woman doctor? Oh yeah, but that's never gonna happen. Oh, but we can dream. And now it's here.
Yeah, you know, I mean, some things had to happen for that to be possible, and those things happened, and I'm so happy that she's here. And, like, I was kind of hoping she'd be a redhead, but, you know, didn't happen. But she's very much in love with her TARDIS, and that's really all I could ever ask for.
Oh yeah, for sure.
More 13 staring lovingly at her blue box. Please.
Dr. TARDIS OTP.
Uh-huh. That is the real OTP. They've been married for, I think their doctor's a couple thousand years old now. No, they're super old. It doesn't really matter. Point is, basically from the beginning when he was a crotchety old man the first time, you know, old granddad, and the TARDIS has been with them ever since, and now it's a weird box lesbian thing going on.
Makes sense.
I'm fine with it.
Makes about as much sense as everything else in Doctor Who, but you know what? It is great, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, it's about the most campy thing that's happened this season, though. Like, I love it, though.
Yeah, for sure. This season has been kind of serious in a way. We've had our share of kind of goofy moments, especially with our alien Tim Shaw, who's probably the goofiest thing this season, but overall it's been treated in a much more serious kind of manner.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with writing a lot of times, right? Is, like, the serious feels less serious if you don't have the goofy with it, and I just don't feel like we've had enough goofy with it, because it's just been, like, serious, and a lot of times I feel like Chibnall and whoever they have writing, a lot of times, these days in these seasons, they're touching on important issues, right? Mm-hmm. And this has been basically, I feel like they're doing this like every episode, right?
Yeah.
So no issue in particular I'm speaking of, but they're kind of like, they're going in and they're doing the thing which is Britain's perception of the issue.
Yeah.
And also that they aren't, like, grazing over it, I guess. That's not really what I mean on that, but...
Being that neither of us are British,
yeah,
perhaps we don't have a full view of what they might think of this. However, being that Doctor Who is one of their quintessentially British properties, there's always going to be a certain level of provincialism when it comes to the writing.
Oh, you mean or the whole colonization thing everyone likes to beat around the bush for, eh?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna harp on that Rosa Parks episode. It was great. It was really great, but, you know, there's that thing where it's like, it is a British person talking about the US civil rights era, where it's like, are you guys doing this to avoid your own civil rights issues? So, like...
Yeah, what I did enjoy about that is that we get a scene with Ryan and Yaz discussing that, and we do know that they are British characters, they're from Yorkshire, and they have had to face these issues in their own lives, which is great, but it is also taking them out of context into a different country, under different circumstances, and a different movement, and not really examining how Britain took part in all of this.
Mm-hmm. And so, like, I feel like with as hard-hitting as the rest of the season was, right? With all these other issues, like, especially that... It was the episode that was the separation between Pakistan and India, right?
Yes.
Yeah, like, that was pretty hard-hitting on that issue. It didn't really develop Yaz very much, but it was a great episode for what it was doing. Well, I thought so. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I think I would have been happier if they would have just looked at their own thing, because I feel like it's a way for them to avoid looking at it. They're like, haha, look at the US and their issue, or more like, wow, great on a pedestal thing that we did, and it's like, England and Britain, you know you caused some of this, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, you can't just, like, avoid it. It feels like they're avoiding it. With it being the quintessential British show, and trying to talk about these issues, like, maybe get a little more intersectional, guys.
And what's interesting about this whole situation is we have a character, the Doctor, who up until this point has always been portrayed as a white man, from the point of view of a human lens, that being presumably cis, on top of all that. But now we have a white woman in that role, which means that while she gets instances of sexism directed towards her, especially in that witch hunt episode.
Oh yeah, that.
Where she gets accused of being a witch. However, she still has white privilege in other contexts, such as the Pakistan-India episode, in which she is a white, presumably British person in the middle of all of this, and this being a colony of the United Kingdom, she should be viewed with hostility in that situation.
Oh yeah, her and Graham. Actually, honestly, probably even Ryan in that case, because, I mean, he's not... I mean, he's... I don't know what Britain calls their...
Black British?
Yeah, I mean, he's a Black British person, so I don't imagine that's a common thing inside of the India-Pakistan border.
And especially not in that time period.
Yeah, especially not in that time period.
But, yeah, I do think that this season tried to take a multi-dimensional approach to these issues, but at the same time, it's limited by the constraints of who the characters are and what their context would be as they engage in these situations.
Yeah, well, that's kind of something you gotta keep in mind if you're gonna be writing them like that, right?
For sure.
I mean, there's a lot of things that I feel like the show brought up, and then they just didn't continue bringing it up. They're like, oh no, we finished that episode, so we're just never going to bring that up again.
Yeah.
You know? So...
I believe that this was Chris Chibnall's approach with this series, is that he wanted it to make it easier for newcomers to get into the show, and in the process he made a more episodic approach to the show where each episode is more self-contained, and while there are some themes that carry over from one episode to another, if you were to just tune in and watch a random episode, you wouldn't feel lost, but at the same time that weakens the structure of the season, because you no longer have these continuing themes from one episode to another.
Yeah, but I guess that also kind of messes with, you know, the character arcs of the characters, right? Like, their development.
Yeah.
You should probably be carrying some of that through. Like, we're not saying, like, one story point has to follow later, but more like, you know, we encounter racism in, like, 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And then we don't really bother again.
Yeah.
Right? But it's like, okay, well, you're the one who started talking about colonization. Deal with it. Like, you were dealing with, like, one of the episodes, there was yeah, we're gonna deal with, like, a refugee crisis and the diaspora thing, right? Just like we also ended up having to deal with, you know, a person who lost her wife, you know?
Yes.
Like, and none of it ever gets brought back up again. And it's like, if you're gonna keep them in the show, you're gonna bring it up, we'll bring it up later.
Yeah.
But maybe not as, like, I'm not saying as, like, a story thread, but maybe as a way to, like, be consistent with your values inside of the show.
Yeah, that also makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
But, as you said, this does affect the development of the characters. In this season, much of it revolved around Graham and Ryan and what their relationship is as a step-grandfather and a step-grandson who doesn't really want to acknowledge this because he just lost his nan, his grandma, and now they're in a situation where they have to rely on each other.
Because of the death of the black woman in the show, you
Yes.
know, causing... Let's just get over that. Again, TARDIS in the room. Like, in the first episode, which is, like, one of the worst things, I feel like, is, like, they killed off this amazing black woman, right, who would have been great as a companion, and they just killed her off just to do that whole, we need development for the boys thing, and then, like, the whole season, and including, you know, the recent New Year special, everything revolves around the death of this wonderful woman who, honestly, probably should have stayed alive, because now it's all just angsty boys. Boys being sad about a lady who died, so not only did she get iced, but she was a black woman who got iced.
For sure,
So...
And another thing that brings up for me is one of the things that first attracted me to Doctor Who as a series, starting with the new series, was how it treated the concept of death and permanence and how grief affects the people who are left behind and that sort of stuff. And what I liked about the Russell T Davies seasons was that they treated the subject very respectfully. Whenever a character died, there was always, like, a sense of their presence and how the other characters felt about it, and it was always very respectful. So on the one hand, I do like this theme in general in the story, but at the same time, the choice that the character who died would be a black woman is not a neutral one. No,
it's not. It's beyond not neutral, and it's like, okay, well, you killed the one interracial relationship we've had in the show, too, so, you know, in the context of what's been going on in the world, that is worse.
Oh, yeah.
You know? So, very, very, very not neutral.
And I do agree that I would have preferred to have her as a companion. She would have been really fun.
Yeah, I've always seen Ryan and his grandma being, like, family, and, you know, that would be great, because I'm not sure if that's, like, a thing you get to see in TV very much, is, like, there's a guy and his grandma, I think, if I remember correctly, his mom died, right?
Yes, Ryan's mom died, leaving behind Ryan to be raised by his grandma because his father is absent.
Oh, yeah.
Which is another big thing.
Is another big thing, and that's the big thing in New Year's episode that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Okay, you're gonna have this thing which was a major character plot point for Ryan. It was like, yeah, my dad left me, I don't want to deal with it, my family doesn't like me, now my nan's gone, having to navigate that, but also just, like, bringing the dad in for some reason. I mean, there was a reason, but, like, I don't know, I feel like the story was maybe too nice, or maybe gave Ryan away his not reason to be mad, but it's not very forgiving of him being mad, and that I feel like they just were like, oh no, you're about to, like, die, I need to forgive you for everything, versus actually trying to deal with, oh, you've been gone for 19 years.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's necessarily what happened in that situation. We do get a very emotionally profound scene where Ryan is telling his dad basically what he wished his dad would have said all this time.
And it was the worst apology ever.
And his dad not really getting what it was about the whole situation that made Ryan really upset. What I think happened towards the end, where Ryan saves his dad's life, is he basically saw the last chance slipping away, the last chance to, you know, reclaim that fatherhood that was missing, and he decided for himself, even if this isn't a forgivable situation, even if I haven't gotten to the point where this is forgivable, I want to keep that door open.
Mm-hmm.
And so his decision to save his father maybe wasn't necessarily the narrative forgiving his father, but him deciding, you know what, I want this to still be a thing, and I want to leave the opportunity there if he decides to take it.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that's the situation. Otherwise, that characterization you've just spent all that time dealing with. Because, like, I'm not saying that I wanted, Ryan's dad to die. I wanted Ryan to be like, you jerk! And then just let him, get sucked into space. Because that's awful.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be wanting that for anybody. Because then that would also go against 13's ideals. I don't even think she'd like Halo or any first-person shooters. I'm convinced, according to, the second episode.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I hope they explore that. That's what I'm hoping for next season. Okay, so you introduced this. I hope we get to see more of this, because we got to see him develop a relationship with a stepdad, but also we got to see some of the baggage that his dad being gone has left Ryan with.
Yes.
And I hope he works that out, because I don't think this was satisfactorily worked out, and they just kind of left his dad there. He doesn't have, a phone to talk to him. How are they going to build this up? I don't know.
Yeah. Speaking of that, what I would like to see going forward is more development for Yaz.
Oh yeah, oh god, please, more, yes. I mean, okay, cool. You have a lady doctor, right? So you're like, yeah, we're gonna be all cool with our lady characters, right? And it's like, okay, so what are you gonna do with Yaz? Yaz just is sitting there and fawning over 13, but she doesn't get anything else. That's all she does. She just sits around, and I feel like she's just a springboard for everybody else. She has almost no development. Even in the episode that was supposed to be about her, it was more about her grandma, right?
Yeah.
It was way more about her grandma and the issues going on with her grandma's life versus Yaz. What's going on with Yaz? She's super interesting. She's a woman of color, as a cop,
She's a Muslim.
Oh, she's Muslim too, and she's super cool, and they're not doing anything with her. Not much. I mean,
not really. And she has been very much sidelined so far, and she is a smart and capable character.
Mm-hmm.
When she does get used in the episodes, she does her part and she does it very well. But the narrative doesn't really afford her a whole lot of emotional resolution. It doesn't really challenge her in ways that would make a huge difference by the end of the season. I feel like the Yaz that we see at the end of the season has been there for basically since episode 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Once she decides she wants to join the TARDIS team, once she decides, I'm going to be loyal to the Doctor, I want to be with her, I want to see things with her, that's the Yaz we get for the rest of the season.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, wouldn't it be interesting if we got to explore, why did she make that decision?
Yeah.
What is it doing to her? Because historically, as we have seen, companions change a lot over their adventures, right?
Yes.
They're trying not to be dead, mostly. They meet aliens, and they go on crazy adventures. They get eaten by, swamp monsters or whatever. Could be anything. They could, be trying to get plunged to death by Dalek. Exterminate. So they... deal with that, and that's not exactly, nothing.
Yeah.
So I feel like Yaz should have changed more. Because it's not like she was some hardened cop who's already had to deal with all of this. She was brand new doing parking tickets. So, yeah, she was just out of school.
What we do see of Yaz is that she has a pretty average family life. She has a rivalry with her sister. She has parents that she sometimes finds overbearing in various ways, which makes her a relatable character, but then that doesn't get pushed very much further besides what we see of her relationship with her grandma, because we get to travel in time and see her grandma as a kid.
Yeah, they stopped her at relatable.
Yeah.
You need more than relatable for a character, especially if it's going to be in, TV series versus, a four-comic, a comic strip.
Yeah.
You can get off with just relatable on that, but not something like this where a story's attached. You kind of need more than just relatable.
Yeah, and what we do see of the relationship between companions and family, which also has been an ongoing theme since Russell T. Davies seasons. In those seasons, we spend a lot of time on Earth. We spend a lot of time with the companions' families. Jackie Tyler is a pretty significant character.
She's so good.
Martha Jones's family is also very significant in various ways. And by the time we get to season 11 with 13th Doctor, we reestablish this idea that families are important, but we don't really spend a whole lot of time on Earth seeing that relationship occur. Because, once again, since this is a more episodic format, they're always in space, they're jumping between time points and not really spending too much time in a single place so that we can see how that happens.
Well, really all that happened was one family matters.
Yeah.
Just one. So it's just Graham and Ryan. Because they're trying to do the family matters thing, but they only chose one family. And brought them all along in the TARDIS, because that's what's left of them. So...
Yeah, even then, if you look at just those two, they're exploring their relationship in space.
Yeah, in space.
And through their adventures, which is fine, because you have two members of the same family together. But that also means that everything we see of Grace is in the form of, like, flashbacks or hallucinations, or them just discussing her presence, but her presence not being there because she's dead.
Replace Grace with Graham 2018. It's too late now, it's 2019, but...
It's fine.
No, it isn't. It really isn't. Grace should have been here. She should have been gracing everyone else.
Oh, yeah.
Which, by the way, good naming, guys. Like... You give her this name Grace, and then kill her off so everyone can deal with her death with grace.
Oh yeah.
Oh god, Grace was such an amazing character. Why couldn't we keep her? Why couldn't we have her be with an alien? Like, just go see an alien. He's like, hi, alien. What if she ended up finding that lesbian from the second episode? I forgot what her species was. Because all the aliens in this show or in this season are very, very humanoid.
Oh yeah, that's another recurring thing that's been happening in this season. Is every time we see an alien, they look very close to human. Maybe they have like some dots on their face or something.
Got some gills somewhere we can't see them.
Yeah,
the pregnant dude. That was great.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I end up getting distracted by the biology just because I'm like, a species how this runs? I'm wondering, how does this... I just want to know everything about everybody.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how that works or why they even have a concept of males and females if they're gonna be doing that.
Yeah,
but...
he can get pregnant and stuff. It's fine. It's fine.
Great.
I'm just like, 7 days?
Yeah.
You have some fun, and 7 days later you got some babies, and also how's it coming out? I mean, whatever. It's interesting, but also like, really? We had to do the pregnant sci-fi thing?
Yeah, which reminds me of a post that I actually saw recently, which wasn't about Doctor Who, it was about Star Wars, but the concept of Padme dying in childbirth, and how that's allowable as a sci-fi trope because pregnancy is still this like mysterious alien thing that you're not expected to understand, and it's supposed to be this like, I don't really know how to phrase this, but like it exotifies a natural thing that humans actually go through and puts it as a sci-fi concept, and I think that's very much a case of writers mostly being cis dudes.
Hey everybody, if you don't like it, read more sci-fi by not cis, especially white dudes.
Oh yeah.
There's some authors I read, and I'm not gonna plug them by name yet. Maybe someday. But, like, this one specific one, she is on that. There's pregnant people and sapphic characters everywhere, and moms and grandparents and whole families, which sci-fi hates families for some reason, and I don't understand, which is a thing that I'm glad that we're back to with Doctor Who, that we are suddenly liking families again. But can we maybe focus on some of the families?
Yes.
Because we're not doing that very much right now, and I would love to see what's going on with Yaz's family. She has a big family. Now that we've gotten what's going on with, like, Ryan and Graham, because that, I mean, earlier, I was talking about, like, character threads, right? But those two had a lot of character development. They got to have their relationship develop.
Yeah.
Right? But, I mean, I'm not saying that has to end, but also can we quit focusing on it? Because a lot of the show focuses on the old white guy.
Yes.
It's the friendship between old white guy and the new, doctor who is a white lady who was previously spent the last however many thousands of years as a white dude.
Yes. But what is cool about Yaz's family is that we do get an episode where we see her and her mom, and they're part of the adventure, and her mom takes part in the story.
More of that, though, please.
Which I do want to see more of that. But I did like that we got to see a little bit of it, and I wish we had more of it.
Yeah, because we got a little bit of it, can we get some more of that?
Yes.
Like, again, you've introduced it. More. I want more of that.
Yeah. Which is also another choice of the format, is that they reduced it to only 10 episodes.
Oh god, 10 episodes.
Which, while each episode was longer than the average before that, I think was a little bit detrimental. It should have been a slightly longer season, maybe.
There's actually a thing I've been thinking about, right? On top of the lack of camp since basically 10 left, Davies. I feel like their budgets are just getting higher and higher, and maybe that's just making them focus more on the looks, versus, like, the character development and, the glorious, glorious camp, because I feel like in Classic Who, which we have been, by the way, going through, we are now up to 4.
We're nearing to the end of the 4th Doctor.
Yeah, soon we're gonna have Celery Doctor. But, point is, like, man, their budgets were awful, right?
Yeah.
But, like, because their budgets were awful, they had to focus on the character more.
Yeah.
Right? Like, let me tell you how great 4 is, and just how they just did that. I feel like maybe the budgets are getting in the way. They're like, ooh, look how pretty and flashy and CG, we're putting everything everywhere.
Yeah.
Instead of, like, okay, let's focus on the characters. But, that's like a thing in media in general now. They're just like, hey, we're just not gonna focus on character development anymore. We're gonna make it look pretty instead. So, maybe Doctor Who's doing that too, because let me tell you guys, this season is beautiful. It is so pretty, and I'm pretty sure part of the reason they cast Jodie was because she looks great in all the colors they use. She lives in teal and orange for most of the show, and let me tell you, she looks really great in orange and blue. Which, by the way, can we have more colors again? We're now just living in orange and blue.
Yes, I want colors. I want all the rainbow colors everywhere.
More than just what Jodie's wearing. Because she is wearing literal rainbows.
But yeah, the season is beautiful.
Yeah.
A lot of the shots were just gorgeous.
Oh god, they're so great.
And they make me want to, like, break out my pencils and draw thumbnails of the shots, which is something that we used to have to do in layout class.
Oh yeah, by the way, we're both in animation, so we're just gonna put that out there. We both draw, so we're not coming from this and from nowhere.
Yeah, we went to art school.
Woo! Art school.
But yeah, it is a very beautiful season. And I do like what they've been able to achieve with it, but also, if there's no limits to what you're able to show, because you're able to just put CG everywhere and come up with whatever you want, that kind of takes away from the creativity. And one thing that I really like when I go back and watch Classic Who, especially the really early ones, with the 1st and the 2nd Doctors.
Oh yeah, well, as much as you can see of the 2nd Doctor.
The ones that do exist still of those episodes, sometimes you just see something completely bizarre that they came up with, like some sort of prop or background thing that you're like, what did they even do to make this? But clearly they had, like, no budget whatsoever, so they came up with something completely unique because of it.
Also the possible invention of iron skirt on Jamie's kilt. Let's just put that out there. Like, for the episodes that exist, he is swinging around. It's like, how is he not flashing everybody? Iron skirt. They literally put lead in the seam.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of ingenuity, right, that we miss now. Because, like, those Dalekses, I mean, they didn't get, like, an update for 50 years or whatever, and it's just like, okay, they're cheesy. That's why they have a plunger for an arm, and I think that might be an egg beater. I'm not sure. And then they've got, like, a little grabby thing right in the middle.
Yeah.
But, that doesn't happen because you have a high budget.
Of course, sometimes the budget problem does go the other way.
And then you end up with, you're stuck in a room, isn't that kind of how it happened with 3? They just kind of hung out?
Yeah. With the 3rd Doctor, they ended up just stranding him on Earth because they're like, we can't afford to take the TARDIS anywhere else, so let's just say it's broken and just have him ride around in a car. And
by the way, I do really like 3, so we're not hating on 3.
3rd Doctor is great. However, clearly they were suffering by that point, and they needed to come up with something completely different, which is something that I don't think people have really talked about very much. There's been a lot of discussion of the huge shift, like, we're going to a female Doctor now, it's a woman, this is totally different. But the 3rd Doctor and the whole situation he was in, he was only the 3rd Doctor. There had only been 2 up until that point, and they completely reformatted the show just for him, and it must have been quite radical at the time, but now we don't really think about it very much, because Doctor Who is always changing, and there's always something new, and every writer brings a new thing to it.
Well, that's literally the good thing, and also the sometimes bad thing, right?
Yeah.
Is that it is generally the progressive vision of the future, according to Britain, kind of thing. It's like it's a very progressive show.
Yes.
I mean, we can go look back. Like, I remember, like, the late 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Right? And some of 4, where it was like, yeah, we're gonna be talking about climate change in the 70s, early 70s. And it's like, wow. Progressive, and women scientists, women bomb engineers, even though we never saw her really do that. Women journalists. We got to see all that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's one thing that's been
missing.
Yeah, an ongoing theme in Doctor Who is the idea of the companion as, like, you know, the young, spunky female, you know, she's there to be the lady representation. But now we have a female Doctor, and we have a TARDIS that is 2 ladies and 2 dudes.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a full TARDIS now, which hasn't been done for quite a while, because usually it's just 1 Doctor, 1 companion, or maybe 2 occasionally. But now we have 3, so that's a crowd.
Yeah, well, I heard recently someone ended up actually talking about how the more companions you end up having in a TARDIS, the harder it is to develop them correctly, so inevitably some of them leave so that you can get some of that character development. I think maybe we might be a little too full. I mean, now that like Ryan and Graham have had their thing, maybe Graham can stay home and deal with his, you know, mourning issues, which he hasn't dealt with. His wife died. Like, and tragically and traumatically.
In front of him.
And while we have seen, we see that he is having issues in the season, he runs away from them. Which is the thing that I'm just now thinking about. Is like, does he ever really deal with it? He's running away from it almost the entire time. Even the time we see her, like, as a person again, all of a sudden, still kind of running from it. Mm-hmm. He was like, no, I'm going to stay with her. And I mean, ultimately he didn't, but he's constantly running away from it.
Also, I feel the need to bring this up as a cancer survivor myself.
Oh yeah, that.
Graham is a cancer survivor. He met Grace, and they fell in love while he was sick, and he has now recovered, and the narrative never really says, oh, you know, maybe he's gonna be sick again, maybe this is gonna happen to him, but having been in his situation before, I can tell you the stress of having this very dramatic, intense thing happening to your body changes the way you think about the world and changes the way that you think about your loved ones and how you might react to their death or even think about your own death. So he's a character who has had this experience in his past, but I don't think I've seen very much of it expressed in the actual story. Mm-mm. We know that he is mourning Grace, he loves her, she's gone, and he's very sad about that, but their relationship was one that started in the midst of this situation that he went through, and that never really comes up again.
No, I mean, it's kind of one of those things where, like, one of my most annoying things in media, right, is, like, when people are just trying to do things for brownie points. Like, you're gonna bring it up, like, don't bring it up for pity's sake, like, show us.
Yes.
Like, because, let me tell you, that's like a thing. I mean, as far as I know in communities, that people end up being like, oh, look, I know you hate this phrase, but it's like, oh, look, they're a survivor, they fought it off.
Yeah, right? You know, you battled so hard, you gotta stay in the fight, it's the worst.
I mean, I can imagine, it's not a situation I've been in. That's the thing, right? Is like, with Graham, I feel like they even bothered mentioning it so that they could play on that instead of being like, okay, you theoretically probably have health problems from this. You might have had, you know, like you were saying, like a whole mental shift around it. And like you met your wife in a situation like that where, I mean, we want to examine that a little bit too. Oh, and that was all within the same 3 years. Yeah. So like he was only with Grace for 3 years. So after having cancer, then losing your wife immediately, and then going off on adventures, suddenly being the grandfather/dad of her.
Yeah, it's a very short period of time for so much to have happened to him, which, granted, you know, we do see how this has affected him very deeply, but considering that it's been like 8 years since I had to deal with that, and it's still affecting me to this day, like 3 years is an even shorter period of time.
Mm-hmm. Like, he should have something to work out. He should not just be over any of these things immediately. We see that it affects him. We don't see him work through any of it, so I don't know how he's able to do some of these things. I don't know. They should be writing it more into there if you're going to bring it up. Maybe you should, you know, stay home and be like, I'm going to work through my issues instead of running from Daleks, which I feel like is running away from his issues.
And we also have another character, Ryan, with dyspraxia, which does get shown on screen. It does affect him at various points. He has a greater tendency to fall over, which gets him into trouble.
Can't aim.
So it's good that they don't shy away from portraying his disability in ways that actually affect the situation. But they also don't make a big deal of it, which is something that that I appreciate about that.
Oh yeah, that's like a thing that is really annoying with like disability things. It's like, oh look how good they are at everything despite their problems. Like, can we just like not, like, okay, they have this problem.
Yeah.
They're gonna do their best to do the thing. They know what they have to do to try to keep doing the thing, so maybe let's not focus on that. Especially when that's not like the focus of the story.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, with a character like Ryan, he has a lot of meat to his personality that has nothing to do with his disability, but in situations where it does affect him, you see the Doctor or other characters around him, but particularly the Doctor coaching him along and saying, hey, you know, we're in this together, we're gonna do it, and once he overcomes really what is mostly a mental barrier, he does much better.
Not to saying that dyspraxia is a psychosomatic thing, because let me tell you, I hate it when people say that people's issues are psychosomatic when they aren't. That's like a personal peeve of mine.
A disability can very much affect you physically, but also I'm no stranger to beating myself up over things that I can't control to the point that I get mentally held back. And I think that's something that Ryan also had to deal with.
I mean, same, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just love how 13's so kind about it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is definitely something about 13's character that I really appreciate, is that she's kind.
She's super kind.
She's gentle with the people who need gentleness, and she is fierce towards people who need fierceness.
Mm-hmm.
She will protect her loved ones. She will take care of people who she feels responsible for, but she will also defend them against anybody who tries to threaten them.
And probably include a couple monologues on the way.
Oh yeah, she monologues.
She monologues a lot. Yeah. Lots and lots and lots of monologues. I hope we have a little less that season, because let me tell you, the time spent on monologues, like you can do like maybe one an episode, maybe one every other episode. We just had a lot of monologuing in the last 8 years, can we not? Just like, I just want to see her be goofy and flighty, and, you know, we're saying all the nice things about 13, right? But let's just also remember that I really love that she still has these, like, little alien bits, right? And also, she is, like, the most, I mean, I think we've talked about this before, right? It's like, she's the most ADHD doctor. Like, you thought 10 was like that. Well, she, in one episode, she just completely forgot Yaz was there for a second, and she's like, oh, wait, you're here, you're awake. Oh, stick your hand in the hole over there, please. We're trying not to die. By the way, now you're caught up. Let's go.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, regardless of how much she monologues, every time the 12th Doctor would monologue, I would roll my eyes so hard. I hated every single thing he would say, because the content of what he was saying and the way that he was written were often so contradictory that it was infuriating. It was like getting condescended to by the writers.
And that is not Peter Capaldi's fault. Okay?
I do not appreciate, this is not a Moffat appreciation household at all.
We're not gonna get on how much it's not.
Let's not get into that, but whenever 13 started monologuing, I was like, yeah, you know, that you're talking a lot, but I'm down with this.
Yeah, well, the nice thing about her monologues is, even though she does it a lot, like, she believes her monologues, right? The episode follows through with her monologues. It is according to context in which they are in, which is very refreshing, having, you know, compared to, like, some of 12's. Sorry, we keep going there, but, like, he had a lot of really nice speeches, a lot of really nice lines. Had nothing to do, you know, so did Clara, but, like, had nothing to do with what they were doing or what happened afterwards or what happened before. It was just like, it's like throwing random Shakespeare things in there. Like,
yeah, it's like, let me get on this pedestal to monologue about the nature of war and peace and death and how humans are always going to attack each other.
Oh, and start another war, meanwhile.
And it's like, the Doctor, as written in this case, has taken almost no responsibility for anything he has ever done that might have construed an act of war.
Mm-hmm. And also, like, people forget about the War Doctor.
Yeah.
Like, he is and 9. He went through, you know, I mean, we did the Time War, and I feel like a lot of stuff forgets that the Time War happened, but I guess when you rewrite reality a couple times because you wrote yourself into a hole, I guess what happened before doesn't matter as much.
Yeah.
So
that is something I do not want in Doctor Who going forward. No reset buttons,
no
please.
No more reset buttons, no more. I was This is how much I'm not a fan of previous, right? Is that I was kind of hoping that Chibnall would push the reset button and then just be like, I'm pulling up the ladder, no more resets, just because the last couple resets, which by the way, that is too many resets per doctor, it's just like, too many resets. How am I supposed to care about anything if nothing matters? But just because, how are you going to write yourself out of all the resets?
Actions have consequences.
Oh, yes, they
Who
should
would have thought?
They should have consequences. Consequences are important to storytelling, by the way. If you want to write better, keep your consequences. Thank you, How to Train Your Dragon. Anyway, I'm sad that my favorite movie series is now over, but it's fine. That has nothing to do with Doctor Who.
Yeah, just as a brief aside, we did recently see How to Train Your Dragon 3, and there was a Q&A afterwards, and they talked specifically about how they wanted to show that consequences were a thing in the world these movies take place in, which you wouldn't think is as rare as it is in writing, but it seems like a lot of writers want to escape the implications of their own writing.
That's what happens when you write yourself into a hole.
Yeah.
You know, on top of that, right? You want to know who has consequences and stuff for their thing? Ryan. Like, Ryan's dyspraxia it's not like some one-off where they're like, hey, look, haha, this guy can't ride a bike. You know, I mean, it's a thing that keeps happening, and it does have consequences. Like, he almost fell off some ladders sometimes, you know?
Yeah, like that one part where he's like trying to jump off the conveyor belt and he can't do it. And...
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that they kept that continuity, because continuity is important and there are consequences for it, and I'm glad that they didn't just like erase it, which, because, you know, we brought up How to Train Your Dragon, he kept his leg gone, like, it's great.
Yeah.
that happened, so, like, if you're gonna give your character a disability, like, give them the whole disability and keep it. Maybe not the whole disability. Whatever pieces you need for it. Because not everybody's disabilities are exactly the same as someone else's. But if you're going to give it to them, keep that consistency. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it's like, okay, well, why'd you bother giving it to them at all? Or is it just there for brownie points or to be laughed at or be a joke? Which, by the way, Ryan is never treated like a joke because he drops stuff and runs into things. Can't ride a bike easily. I love that that is not a joke. It's not a joke.
Yeah, Ryan has ongoing issues, but they are shown to be something that he has to deal with, but is not going to make him less valuable, less likable, or treated as a joke.
It's good stuff.
Absolutely.
I just kind of hope that they keep it with more than just Ryan and that one problem. Looking at you, Graham. Because that stuff he's been through messes people up. Especially within 3 years. Like,
I really hope that they don't forget about that going forward. That is my wish for the next couple seasons. If they do keep Graham around, which I don't know if he really needs to stay around, but if he's gonna be part of Team TARDIS, acknowledge what he's been through.
Yeah, I mean, we've done the arc. We've done the family arc with those two. Can we maybe do more of Yaz's? Let Yaz get some character development. I mean, I don't hate Graham, but, like, part of the reason I kind of want him gone is just because, well, first off, cranky old white guy. He's not that cranky anymore, but also just because I feel like him being there because he's most similar to, like, the traditional writers, and the age group people are usually able to get those kind of writing jobs, that they're focusing more on him because he's more like the writers. So I kind of want him to go so that we can focus on other characters who aren't, like, traditionally shown. Like Yaz! I feel like Yaz could be very important with what's going on in the world.
Yeah, and they definitely need to reach out to more writers who know the relevant information and relative life events.
Aren't cis white guys, let's just
put it out there.
Aren't cis white guys who are probably not millennials. You know, they're older. I think that would be a good way forward. You know, hire more of them and give them those two characters to write about. Let them write about Ryan and Yaz, and they can get more character development. They can develop outside of what they've started, because even then, I don't think Ryan's all that much different from when he started either. I mean, he's some different. He has more confidence.
Yeah.
But he could change more.
Yeah, Ryan has gained some self-confidence. He has learned to become closer to Graham, and that's really about it as far as his character development goes.
Yeah, most of the character development and stories and stuff have been, a lot of it has been revolving around Graham and Graham's dead wife, Grace, who was so much amazing. And I will keep saying that because why did they kill her? If they get rid of him, they'll be able to focus more on the other characters, I feel like, because it's packed TARDIS.
Yep.
And I know that they keep, like, introducing a whole lot more characters instead of focusing on the ones they have. Let's go hang out in Sheffield for a while. Let's go, I don't know, go chase some blue mannequins. I don't... That's a reference to the Ninth Doctor, by the way. I think they existed before that, but
yeah. No, they're actually a third Doctor monster.
Oh yeah, huh?
Yeah, they're like in the first episode of Third Doctor.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just the blue mannequins are what made my mom quit watching Doctor Who. She's like, ew, that's weird. And I'm like, I told you what you were getting into.
Yeah, Doctor Who is not for everyone.
Yeah, well, now that it's not so campy, like, it's appealing to the blue filter crowd.
I am, however, very happy that this new season, especially the premiere, had the highest viewership ever, basically.
You guys can't see this, but I'm wiggling around everywhere, and I've got, like, goal excitement hands over that, okay? You guys can't see that, but I'm letting you know that that is a thing that is happening. Because she got so much backlash from the wah, right?
Yeah.
From the wah part of the internet, which was largely dudes. And I'm glad she's here. I'm glad that people are always complaining about, like, oh, pretty doctor boyfriend. Or
lady
boyfriend
doctor.
Now we have a lady doctor, which, I mean, in my opinion, I just kind of want to see her just love on her blue box. I don't really want this particular doctor maybe to get a boyfriend, but I do eventually want a doctor to get a boyfriend. And possibly also a girlfriend. Either or. Like, or both. I mean, aliens don't have to.
Yeah, but we do not need very much in the way of doctor-human relationships right now.
Yeah, we just got off of that because Clara wouldn't go away.
Yeah, that was like a whole however many years of doctor romantic entanglements. I think we have reached the limit so far.
Well, that's why I'm saying, like, a different lady doctor, because I'm gonna be so sad if Jodie is the first and last.
Yes, please, more lady doctors.
Maybe the next 13.
More lady doctors, more doctors who aren't white dudes.
Please.
Please.
Oh, man, how cool would it be if we had, like, a Muslim doctor?
Oh, that'd be awesome.
She was dark. Or even, like, a black doctor.
Hell yeah.
A lady doctor. I know a lot of people are trying to have Idris... What's his last name? Forgot.
Elba, yeah,
Idris Elba. They were like, yeah, how about we have him be the doctor? I mean, that's cool too. But what if, like, Grace was the doctor?
Hell yeah. Unlikely, but I'd be
well,
down
yeah,
for that.
but what if we had a great... Yeah, well, that's another thing in media, right? That we can't end up having, like, older ladies don't exist.
Mm-hmm.
How about we have an older lady doctor?
Yes.
Yeah, and then she can just, you know, be in love with her TARDIS.
Mm-hmm.
Or have a boyfriend, I don't really care. Whatever. But yeah, I mean, just because we've had so many years of, like, boyfriend doctor, I want to see girlfriend doctor and just have to be, at some point, maybe not 13. Actually, I really don't want it to be 13. But, you know, equality. Let's have her have a boyfriend or whatever, or girlfriend, I mean, whatever she swings. I mean, doctors seem to be pretty pan. I mean,
yeah, I don't think Doctor cares.
No, they've historically been pretty into whatever they're into. I mean, 10 was into a tree lady. While he had Rose and the TARDIS, so... Pan doctor, who says they can't also be like Polly. They're already in a situation, or polyamorous. You know, I mean, he's already married to the TARDIS. Why not?
Hell yeah.
No companions get on that ship without, like, permission from the wife.
Yep. Regardless of anything, whatever romance they have, Dr. TARDIS, OTP, forever.
Oh yeah.
That's all there is to it.
Everyone else is a side gig.
Yep.
It might be a very well-loved side gig. Hi, Rose. But, oh, by the way, I would love if Rose came back in, like, 13 and Rose ended up getting together.
Oh.
I mean, maybe, like, I don't know, like, together, maybe. I mean, maybe John Smith? Is that what he calls himself now?
I guess.
Okay. Well, Dr. Donna, what if...
The other doctor who was left in the parallel universe placed with Rose.
As long as he's fine with his wife getting with him again, who's now future him... As long as he's fine with that, it's fine. Because Billie Piper has said that Rose would love Doctor in any form that they came in.
Yeah. I'm kind of looking forward to whatever multi-Doctor episode we have in the future with 13 and whoever else decides to show up.
10.
Yes.
That's what I want to see. I'm so excited for the podcast tomorrow. 10. It's going to be David Tennant and Jodie, by the way. I don't know if it's actually tomorrow, but that's going to happen. And I'm going to listen to that. And it's going to be wonderful. Because you know what? 13 takes so much off of 10, but I love how she's still a conglomeration of all of the doctors, which I feel like was something we were missing for a long time, is that you couldn't see every doctor in there, right? Because, like, 13 was, like, you can see her having 4 moments. There's a moment in, like, the first episode where she looks very 1, which I feel like is kind of where her hair came from. Right?
Yeah.
They compose her to kind of look like 1, and then all of her flighty, woo, here we go, wah, is like 10, right? and also with the whole, not standoffish, but like, I feel like she got a lot of her pride from like 9 and 10.
Yeah, she has a lot of those elements, but I do appreciate that she still has her own thing.
Oh yeah.
She's definitely more nervous and less sure of herself than pretty much any other doctor we've seen so far.
Yeah.
But that's her own unique take on it, but she still has all those other doctors in her.
Yeah, well that's the thing, right? You know where you're going from where you've been, which I feel like is part of the thing with Doctor, when you have 50 years of stuff and in universe, 12 different lifetimes you've had, well actually more like 13 different lifetimes, because technically 13's 14. Probably, yeah. Whatever, I know. But, like, that's that many lives that you lived. You don't just get rid of them.
Yeah.
So, I'm glad she's finding her own way, but also they don't go away. Just like, she's got a tinkering thing, just like 3 had. She's much more of an inventor than 3 was, but they both are mechanically inclined.
Yeah.
And I just love when we can see them all. So we know, we can see where the Doctor has been in 13. We can see parts of them coming through, while her being her own. So, like, eventually 14 is going to be like, here's some 13. And they're just going to, like, sashay in front of a Dalek and just be like, I'm the Doctor, scan me! But you guys couldn't see the, like, weird, I don't know, was that diva or jazz hands?
I don't even know anymore. It's the jazz hands diva pose.
Showgirl, arms spread wide. I'm wiggling around everywhere. But it's the Doctor, and that cinematography is pretty. I don't really know what else we could say with it other than, like, watch it. Because, like, the compositions are great, the colors are great, what they choose to light is great, what they choose not to light is great. There's some episodes that are very noir. I'm not sure how much of that's, like, trying to actually save money, because then they all have that, like, teal robot thing going on, and people shooting lasers out of their eyes, but those are 2 different episodes. But the point is, there's people shooting lasers out of their eyes and their veins and going, Pwah!
It's great.
It's great. It's great.
But yeah, we've been talking for quite some time, so we should probably wrap this up. Final thoughts. Season 11, pretty great.
It's pretty great.
But it still has a lot of room to improve.
More camp, more actual character development. Maybe now that we're out of like the introductory stage, we can get more. Maybe we'll get more episodes now that viewership's up again.
Maybe.
You know?
I hope so.
Me too. I mean, maybe we can go back to the whole 12 episodes with the regular funding. Leave them just as long. I feel like there's a lot more people watching it than there were at the end of 12. So
yeah, I know for sure. I came back.
Me too.
So, there you go.
Doctor
Who.
Doctor Who.
Woo!
Yeah, that.
Yeah. Let's just end it there.
Let's end it there. Bye, guys.
Bye.
See you. Listen to us next time if you feel like it. We're waving.
Bye.
Bye.